Good morning everyone, and good evening if you happen to be in the evening. Here we sit, 3.5 million hectares of the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, 60,000 of which is the Sabi Sands, and we're on a little patch of 1,500 hectares here in the magnificent wilderness that is the Kruger National Park. You just saw the moon there. That's the full moon just setting as the sun comes up the other side, reflected in complete stillness, as you saw there on the water here at Treehouse Waterhole. Thanks for joining us. It's lovely to have you along. You're on a live safari in case you stumbled upon this website by mistake. We're going to be trying to find the animals and other wonders that this natural paradise has to offer. On camera we have Phil. This is Phil's second drive, so he's a little bit terrified, but seems to be getting on with things just fine. On the other vehicle we've got Brent and Andrew. They're following up on the Nkohuma Pride of Lions. Haven't found them yet. They're following the tracks. And in the control room we have the inimitable Eugene, who was found hanging off a ladder sometime yesterday afternoon, but has survived that ordeal. And then we have Nikki and her sultry tones talking to us through our ears throughout the morning. Hello to all of you. My name is James, in case you were wondering, and if you'd like to interact with us, and we really would like it, if you interact with us, questions, comments, anything you'd like to say, please send it on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email questions@wildearth.tv. My plan, and Phil's plan, unfortunately for him, he doesn't really get to decide at this point, is to head to the south of the reserve, check along the east southern boundary, just check for tracks of that pride. They haven't found the tracks yet, so we're going to see if they haven't crossed out of the reserve, and if they haven't, we're all going to close in on them, and then we'll see what other things we can find on the way. Welcome to it. Lovely to have you on board. Send your questions, send your comments, and we'll see what we can find. Phil and I are now mobile. Unusually warm this morning. We're sitting in, it's probably, I'm going to guess here and then I'll get confirmation in my ear, but I think it's probably about 18 degrees, maybe even 20, which in Fahrenheit is probably around 70. I was right about the Celsius. It's 18 degrees Celsius and it's 64 Fahrenheit for those of you in the 17th century. Hard to say why it's so warm, but for the fact that we're probably changing the climate of the planet through the machinations of our industry. But thankfully out here we don't have to worry too much about that. Beautiful freshness about the morning, especially with the sun coming up one side and the moon going down the other. I'll try and get you a shot of the sunrise when we get into a sort of appropriate position. Normally this time of year the temperature will drop down to about when it's really cold, about 4 degrees Celsius. I'm not even going to try and work it out in Fahrenheit at this stage. I need to go and practice on my calculations there. So to have it at 18 now is very unusual, but very pleasant at the same time. If you're in Europe, you're probably just having yourself a morning coffee, watching the game drive, thinking about your commute to work. Sorry for you. We have commuted to work already. We're sitting in the office, Phil and I. If you're in the States, You're probably just about to lay your weary head down, and you're probably having a late evening beverage, perhaps a nightcap. Wherever you are, it's great to have you along. So far I have found no sign of any cat tracks, which is quite a good thing, because it means they probably haven't crossed out of our little reserve. I think for some people who've never been here before, and it's important to understand that the 1,500 hectares on which we operate, that's about 4,000 acres, is part of a far greater system. And there are no fences between us and our neighbouring reserves and the Kruger Park and the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, which extends into Mozambique and into Zimbabwe. There are no fences between us. So it's very easy. The animals don't recognise the boundaries. We unfortunately, because of our property laws, have to. I think there's about to be a magnificent sunrise. We'll try and get you. Get you on here. Unfortunately, I'm now going downhill. So this is now the southern boundary that we find ourselves on. Always good to check what's left in the night and what's stayed. Get you a picture of the horizon, which is just magnificent from where I'm sitting. Yeah. So we left those lions shortly after you saw them last night. We're just going to see if we can get a shot here. Phil, can you get that? Or should we go on to the next hill? We'll just see what magic Phil can conjure on the camera. There we go. So I'm just going to have a little listen. It's always good to have a listen while we're looking at the bush newspaper that is the road in front of us. It tells the story of what happened in the night while we were all cozy in our beds. And we can hear Cape turtle doves calling, crested barbets, crested francolins, southern black tits, rattling testiculars, and here comes the huge African sun. Well, it's not the African sun, I suppose, because you all get the same sun eventually. It just seems to look a bit different here when it comes. There it is. I tell you, that's a rare thrill that just never gets old. Amazing how fast it comes up. The world is spinning at such a speed, and yet here we sit in complete peace. Of the doves singing the sun out of the sky. few robins singing. Phil's just trying to get you the best picture possible. How he's got it now is pretty much how it looks in reality. I think we get quite caught up out here trying to rush around finding animals, and we just sometimes forget to absorb the wonder and peace that the wilderness here will give to you if you stop and take a deep breath. Listen, smell, taste the air. Right, so as the sun has now popped over the horizon, so we will carry on along the road here and see what we can find. Nice one, Phil. Right, here we go. Find out from Brent and the others what's happening. What I wanted to tell you all, Brent has challenged me to a bird quiz, or not a bird quiz, a bird number count, which you, being the audience, have got to count. So I'm going to mention, even if Phil doesn't necessarily, there's a certain amount of honour involved in this, I suppose, and we're going to see who can see the most over the next 3 hours or so.